Good morning, everybody. I'm Guy Kawasaki. I am in Santa Cruz, California. I am joined by the illustrious rest of podcasting crew, Jeff Sieh and Peg Fitzpatrick. Jeff is in Texas, and Peg Fitzpatrick is in New Hampshire, live free or die state. So we are happy to announce another remarkable podcast. This guest is Adam Curry. Adam is one of the old-time VJs of MTV, but I think the essence of this episode is more about him as a pioneer and early adopter, including websites, obviously MTV, websites, podcasting, cybercurrency, all the good stuff. And he is quite a character. So what do you guys think of him?
I was an MTV fan, so shout out to all you Gen X people. Leave us a comment below if you watched MTV too. But so I was very interested in hearing his MTV stories, but also just the fact that he's such a pioneer in so many different areas of tech, and kind of like what kind of advantage does that give you when you're like an early blogger, early on social media, early things. It's a really cool place to be, I think, if you were Adam.
Right.
Jeff, what'd you think?
See, I've been following him mostly for his podcasting stuff. So, and we'll get into it later. But he was at like Podcast Movement when I was there. I think the first year, cool. And he's big in that world. And so, I even remember a couple years ago he had this thing he was trying to kickstart, which was this like podcast player, which pretty much is the Rodecaster Pro that Guy and I both use. That's supposed to be all-in-one kind of thing, and he was trying to get that off the ground. It was kind of ahead of its time. But yeah, I remember all that stuff. So I know him, and one of the questions I know we'll talk about is MTV, but I knew him more for that. I mean, I saw him with the big hair on MTV, but I knew him more from the podcasting stuff.
Are you saying that you're younger than Peg and I?
I would never, ever say that out loud.
He is.
At all.
He is. He wasn't old enough to watch MTV.
But yeah.
Wait, so before we go too far, we want everybody to pick up. We're assuming a lot of you are watching this on a computer. So we want you to all grab your iPhone and get the camera out, or not out, but running. And now we're going to put up a QR code. So there
it is.
So get your camera out or running and put it on that. Don't take a picture of it. Just put that in the field of view, and you will magically be taken to the Remarkable People podcast.
And
because we want you to subscribe.
And if you're watching,
we're not going to change.
Also, before we go too far into like our actual questions and more things, it was Guy's birthday. So as a birthday present to him, happy birthday, Guy.
Thank you.
When was his birthday?
39 again, I think. You're reverse aging.
Right.
So everybody say happy birthday to Guy, and also make sure you leave him a rating, because that will be the best birthday present. That's what he wants from
true.
That's true. If you're watching on a mobile device, do a screen capture, and then you can go into your mobile app and click on the picture, and it should take you there too. So if you're watching,
it's very easy.
What? Say that again.
If you're watching a mobile, you do a screen capture on your iPhone, and that way you can go in and click on that picture, and it should take you to that website.
No way.
I think that works. I'm pretty sure.
All right, let us know in the comments. Somebody test Jeff's theory.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. It's just how can that work? That's just a dumb screenshot. How would it know where to go?
Because Apple's amazing. I'm pretty sure it
How
works.
does it know when you open your camera?
I think I've done that before.
I call bullshit. I want to see if that works.
Somebody prove who's right, Jeff or Guy?
Yeah. Okay, here, I'm going to try.
I would trust the guy who worked at Apple, but you never know. I think that...
okay, put it back up there. Put it back up there.
I think that it's a big improvement that they changed it from having to go to a QR reader. So you just open your camera and point it. But I feel like people don't really know how to use that yet. I'm always like, where's my QR reader? And I'm like, oh yeah, I just open the phone.
Okay, Jeff. There is no freaking way. I took a picture.
And I think you open it in Photos, and I think you can go and tap on that QR code, and it'll take you there. I thought that worked, but I may
no way.
Let me know in the comments if how wrong I am. Yeah. So he says, save picture and search with lens. So
What?
I think that.
What?
Yeah.
What's Lens?
I think yeah. So on Android, you just use Google Lens, and I think Apple has something similar. Thanks, Hessel, for that. I'm pretty sure. So test it out. Let's see who wins this one. But I swear that's because I've heard people say that before on shows, and I just think it works. Now I'm
No
look at
way.
me be wrong. So
Either
I
that.
bet it.
I think it's just a dumb. Maybe you have to buy a second iPhone just to subscribe to our podcast. See, screenshot one on your first iPhone, then you get your second iPhone, and you open up the camera. And
Or you can
Go
use
ahead,
your
Jeff.
iPad.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, either way, use this and go give us a rating and review, and you can review and say how wrong I was. But more, we would like to get review on the podcast. So,
Yeah.
so it should
We're
work.
tech pioneering right now. We're
Yeah.
like figuring out technology. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So anyway, we'll see if I'm right or wrong. But here's our icebreaker of the day. We broke the ice way like 5 minutes ago. But so did you have MTV when it first came out?
Oh yeah.
Guy, did you?
Oh yeah.
Guy, were you working at Apple then already? I think.
I was working at Apple in 1983. So when did MTV start?
87? No, wait. When was the very start of it?
1980, I think. Huh.
I was in high school.
But did you have it?
everybody
Did
can
you
figure
have
out how old I
MTV
am.
when it first came out?
It started. When did MTV start? It
1980,
started
I think.
August 1st, 1981.
Oh,
So,
I was in
anyway,
college.
I did. So
No,
that
I
was a
wasn't.
big deal. It was a big deal when it came out. If you had cable and you had MTV, everybody would come to your house to watch MTV because it was so cool.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know why, but we actually had it. It was an actual cool thing at my house.
So I did not. We had 3 channels growing up in Kansas. I did not. I had to go to a friend's house to watch MTV. So they did have a thing at the local bowling alley. Not local, it was in Topeka, Kansas, that I would go. They had rock and bowl, and you could go bowling and watch MTV at the monitors. It was late at night, a thing they had for the
Wow.
kids.
Things that we used to do back in the
know.
day. Bowling, roller
MTV.
skating, and MTV. And have big hair. So yeah, when MTV came out, it was very cool. And you could also, it's almost like a precursor to YouTube. You know, they did videos and now all the video previews go on like Vimeo or YouTube, which
But
is interesting.
Didn't Adam really burst the bubble for you when he said, it's kind of like, they just sort of watched the video and then commented. I thought, everybody's there in studio and everything is like all put together and staged, and it's not. Or wasn't.
I think that's kind of how the radio works.
Yeah.
And so that they just segued that over to TV. And also it was cable. Like it was, this is when cable was very low budget, very, very
Right.
low budget. So it's not like now where, Netflix and Amazon and all these Hulu are throwing millions of dollars out there. This was like low budget.
You mean when you hear a song on radio, the musician actually isn't in the studio performing it?
I think they come magically out of the box. So, but back to, so I thought in this podcast there is, if you grew up in the 80s and you watched MTV, or like me, you had to go over to a friend's house and watched MTV. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, like Guy was just talking about.
Yeah.
They kind of faked it, and Adam's like the way he talked about it and the attitude. I mean, it started out really like bootstrapped, almost talking about, but then he goes in as the podcast keeps going, and he talks about meeting all these things and events and what they had to do for when Michael Jackson, the deals they had to make for mentioning things and all this crazy stuff. So there's a lot of this kind of inside baseball stuff that if you go, behind the scenes stuff that's really, really cool that Adam talks about.
One of the cool things that I found when I was researching the show was that when MTV, they were so broke and they were so out of money and they had to come up with a way, and this was before actually Adam was there, they had to come up with a way to keep the station going. And so somebody came up with this campaign to do the I Want My MTV, which is legendary marketing campaign. Grassroots, and they were like, who can we get to do this? Who would be really cool? And they were like, we need Mick Jagger. So the MTV executives got a meeting with Mick Jagger. They're in this meeting. They're like, we have this great idea, and we just need to record you filming some promos saying like, I want my MTV. And he was like, and
That was
Mick
awesome.
Jagger was, yeah, Mick Jagger was like, he was all into it. And he was like, how much money do you have? And they had no money. So the executive pulled out $1. He was like, this is all we have. And Mick Jagger was so impressed with his chutzpah that he said, I'll do it. And then they got all these other famous people to do it. And then from that, if you're not familiar with what happened, they got all their viewers to call their cable stations and saying, I want MTV on my cable station. So it literally kept the station alive, this grassroots campaign. So it's really cool. That doesn't happen very often, where you can just like change the trajectory of something, especially without money behind it. But they really got people to call in. So it's really cool. Adam wasn't there for that piece of it. But he does tell lots of great stories just about behind the scenes and the people that, I mean, he got to meet all the biggest rock stars of the day, which is very cool.
Some of the ones there's almost two sections to the podcast. There's almost like his talking about his MTV years, and then Guy went into podcasting, which is he's got some really interesting ideas about podcasting that was really interesting to hear what he's doing, some stuff that I didn't even know about. So there's like two sections. So make sure you go to remarkablepeople.com and listen to that. And also make sure you leave a rating and review, because we would love that. But Peg, since you had MTV and everybody came over to your house to watch it, do you remember the first video that you saw on MTV?
The first video I ever played was Video Killed the Radio Star.
That was the first one, but did you remember the one is that the first one you saw? I mean, I remember exactly.
I watched it right from the beginning. I saw it from like the to the little MTV flag coming up. I was on it.
Really? You mean the moon shot?
Yep, the little MTV moon. And that I mean, it was a big deal. And it was in the summer, by the way. It was August. So what else was I doing?
So Guy, do you remember the first video you saw?
I don't remember anything before yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is there was only enough videos. They didn't have enough videos. It was 24 hours, and they only had like, what was it, 300 videos or something? Yeah. So they just repeated. They repeated over, like they played two. Each video got played twice a day or something like that to fill the 24 hours. So I remember the one that I remember being on all the time was Love Plus One. It was like these guys with these xylophones. It was so weird. The 80s music was so many iconic videos. What videos do you guys remember being outstanding? So
Carrie says this is great. Thriller was hers. I remember that was a big deal.
That was a huge event, and there was like promos for a week before that. Oh, Herbie Hancock was so cool.
Yeah. Those I love the intro outro animations. Andrew says, those were really cool. Almost stop motion. Some of them were. I remember they were really they're really strange. The first one I remember it. It was Lionel Richie's Hello, where he's like modeling there's the modeling the blind guy's modeling like the face and the clay. That's the only thing I can remember.
Definitely a lot later.
Was it later?
Because Lionel Richie.
Yeah, that was me though. So I didn't see. I told you I never watched it until I was at people's house. Oh, Nazim. Hey, Nazim, how are you doing? The English Beat.
The English Beat.
Yeah. So I love my MTD. 1-to-1 is a classic. Yes.
And early Madonna.
Oh yeah. Yes. So
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah. So Guy remembers nothing about MTV videos. I don't remember much. Peg watched it 24/7. Yeah, that was her life.
Yeah,
we should have asked John M. Chu what he remembers of MTV.
He was too busy reading Apple. He was reading Apple magazines.
But he may have watched them just because a lot of famous Hollywood directors started out doing videos. By the way, like John Lasseter
didn't John Chu? Didn't he do music videos too?
Well,
he's in a group, a dance group.
Yeah.
Never Say Never.
Video concerts, but he also made his own YouTube videos. Boy George, so innovative. Yes, George Michael was up there on my I love George Michael, but I was like, that was my, I used to, dress like ZZ Top. I mean, Jeff Josh Little, ZZ Top.
Yeah, little ZZ Top.
Yeah, but it was cool because it was the first time you kind of had access to rock music. She was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And then
this is so I remember this when it came out. I didn't watch it like religiously because I once again did not have it. But Peg did. How often did you watch Real World? Like
I watched Real World. That was the first reality TV show, so it was a big deal. And it was like these kids that got put in this apartment in New York City. So it was a big deal because and it kind of was the kiss of death for MTV. If you listen to the podcast, Adam talks more about that too, and how changing the programming made a big change in MTV. But the reality TV shows, Real World was so cool, and I was like obsessed with it. I watched all of it.
So, Guy, do you watch reality TV shows now? Do you have any?
No.
I don't even know what you watched. I don't even.
My life is a reality TV show. I don't need to watch anybody else's.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't watch any anymore. I don't. But the like Real World when it was new was very cool. Mike, what did you watch? I'm sure Mike was a MTV.
He was probably
fan.
Hip Hop Underground. That was but yeah. So I still don't watch much. I watched Survivor when it first came out.
Oh, I loved Survivor too.
But I don't watch anymore. Do you watch it? I watch cooking shows. I mean, is that reality TV? I don't know.
The British baking.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the British Bake Off. Great British Bake Off. Rich found this
Andrew
one.
Zimmer.
It's like,
that's right.
I like his new show where he goes to people's houses. Another former guest. We should have him on again because he's got his new show out where he's traveling around America, going to people's houses and they're cooking like their like family favorites and stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah. I should invite him. I'll make him spam musubi.
You know what? I would love to see you guys come on this. You and Andrew Zimmer come on this show, and and just you and him talk. That's all it needs to be. Yeah,
Andrew Zimmern is very cool.
He'd be fun.
I bet you he would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we still got people chiming in on their favorite MTVs.
Take on Me was a great one.
That was a good one.
That was the one that had the drawing and it turned into the images. Very cool.
Yeah, we are going. But
so Peg,
go ahead.
Peg, guess what? My Smart News tab just updated.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm checking mine. I don't know if I believe you.
Okay. It updated.
Checking. Whoa.
Hallelujah.
Mine didn't. Oh, yes, it did. Finally.
Devo.
Devo was also cool.
Yeah. So we've got so here's another question.
Nobody said Janet Jackson yet. Janet Jackson was amazing with Rhythm Nation. We are apart. Eventually, I'm going to sing.
She's going to start singing. She's going to break into song. So the first part was MTV, and then Guy transitioned during the podcast interview to Adam because his podcasting, because he is like, they call him the Podfather. So other than this podcast, Remarkable People at remarkablepeople.com, what are your favorite podcasts? Peg, I know I'm asking you because I know you don't have any probably, do you? Other than this one.
I don't.
Wait, don't tell me.
Wait, don't tell me. I do not listen to NPR podcasts. I am the worst person to ask. I am an auditory learner. No, I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual person. So listening to a podcast is not my jam. And sometimes I try, but then I check out other people's to see what they have going on. Video killed the radio star.
That's right. Look at this. My mom dated the lead singer of Devo when they were at Kent State.
Wow.
Some deep cuts right there. Yeah.
That's a lot going on. Kent State and Devo all in one thing.
Okay, so here's some favorite podcasts. Terry says Mark Maron. Very, very popular one. Guy, what is yours other than this one? Do you listen to other podcasts?
Well, the problem, revisionist history, wait, don't tell me, The Moth. But my problem with podcasts is that I don't drive that much. And so when you don't drive, when do you listen to your podcast? Because when I'm, at home, I'm editing my own podcasts so that Peg is not pissed off. So,
hey, we got to stay on schedule.
That's right.
Someone's got to keep you guys in line, and that's me. So you're welcome, everybody who likes to listen to a podcast every Wednesday.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
in like 3 hours, I'm going to interview Dr. Lena Wen. She's the CNN medical expert. So if between now and the next 3 hours you have a burning question for Dr. Lena Wen, send it in right now. You can use my email, guykawasaki@gmail. But she
Is it
used to be
Lena or
the
Leanna?
medical. No, it's pronounced Lena according to her bio.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, Lena Wen, and she was the medical director, or I don't know if that's the exact term, of Baltimore. But now she's just this kick-ass person. She's just. I'm going to ask her some really blunt questions about. Okay, so here's a good question for everybody. I think that my first question to her will be, are we in the golden age of stupidity? What do you think?
That's an article I just read it was at the Atlantic or something.
Yes, that's how I got it. But
yeah.
Because I think we are in the golden age of stupidity.
It's a great article. Yes. So
Jeff, what podcast do you listen to? You avoided your own question.
I did. So, and I would love to hear more people answer that question. What is your favorite podcast? Because I always love new ones to listen to. So I have standard ones. I walk for an hour every morning, so I have time to listen to podcasts, which I really like. So I love Radiolab. I just love the way they do their sound design, and I always feel smarter after I listen to it. I really like Business Wars from Wondery. I like, they have some really good, they're about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but they're like, Nike versus Adidas, Netscape versus Microsoft. I mean, they have all these different stories, and the way they do their sound editing is really, really cool. So I like Business Wars. And then for fun, I listen to, and I started listening to it just because he does Community so well, is WDW Radio with Lou Mangello. And I just really like it because it makes me happy, because he interviews like Imagineers from Disney, and they're super creative people, and it's just really, really cool because I like Disney stuff. So, I mean, it's really fun. It's fun to listen to. So those are the ones that I listen to.
True crime podcasts are super popular. Both of my girls are obsessed with true crime podcasts. And there's even a new show that just launched yesterday with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. Yeah, on Hulu, and it's about them. They're all true crime podcasters and listeners, and somebody gets murdered in their building, and then they try to solve it because they're all
and
they all like true crime.
And Selena Gomez likes it like in real life. I mean, she really loves the one. The only one I've listened to really is
the millennial thing. The millennials love the true crime. I don't know why.
It all started with Serial, and I really liked Serial when it came out. That was a really good one.
Think about the Free Britney. That whole movement started with a podcast too.
Yep.
Put the QR code back.
All right. So for people who want to subscribe to this podcast and leave a rating and review, make sure you go and click on this. Take a picture of this. Use your QR code reader. Takes you right to Apple.
Don't take a picture of it. That ain't gonna work. Just open up your camera and put your camera on it.
Yeah, if you're listening to it or watching this online on your phone, sorry. So this is cool. Over on YouTube, Remarkable People from Sting 782 says Remarkable People is the first podcast that they've listened to. So that's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's downhill from here.
Thank you, Jim. You get extra points for my podcast. I thank you for doing that. So I have to bring him up. So let's see. That's some other podcasts. The Work in Sports. Interesting. I haven't looked at that one. I'll have to find that one
I used to listen to pro bloggers too.
Yes.
Darren Rouse, pro blogger.
Yep. Let's see. The High Existence podcast. I haven't heard that one. So interesting. So
do we have any new reviews? I gotta go look.
We had some.
So while we're looking for new reviews, here's another question. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Are you guys on the fence on starting a podcast? Is something you want to do? And if so, if you were going to start your own podcast, what would it be? What would it be?
I would not start a podcast.
Right? Why not, Peg? You'd be great at it. So
I don't think I have it. It would be a singing podcast. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So
I can't.
And Guy, you might want to tell people like what you use for when you do your podcast, like your steps that you use.
Oh God, I don't know if people really want to know.
Well,
so
I bet they do.
I obviously do a lot of research, and I open up a Google Doc, and I put all the questions in there. Right before I interview, I export the Google Doc as a PDF and put it on my Remarkable tablet. So I'm working on a tablet during the interview. The interview itself, I use a Rodecaster and a Sony camera and a Heil XLR mic. And the software that's hosting it is Squadcast. The beauty of Squadcast is that it's a double ender, which means that there's local recordings of me and the guest, as opposed to through the internet like Zoom or Skype. So there's 2 local recordings. Those 2 local recordings get uploaded, and then I upload them to Descript to do my editing. After I'm done with editing, Jeff takes over and removes the mistakes I made and adds sound. And then we give it to Peg, and she performs the marketing magic. So,
yeah. So there's a couple of questions. So Jonathan asked, what's the essential kit for podcasts? I'd say a good microphone, and then you're going to have to host it somewhere, which we use Simplecast is where we host everything for us once it's done, and that's what distributes it out through to Apple and Google and Spotify and all those different places. So you pretty much just need a good microphone, a way to record it. You can do that on your computer or on like a little handheld, one of those handheld recorders, and then you need a place to put the files, which we like Simplecast, which there's a ton of different podcasting platforms, but Simplecast is what we use. So,
I mean, people really should learn about Descript, because if you're going to do any editing, it is the easiest way to edit a podcast.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And video. It edits video.
Yeah, I use it for because I do a video podcast. Mine's video based, and then I use that to edit as well. So Ian says he's going to start one in the near future. Ian, what are you going to start it on? What will your podcast be about?
About 60 minutes.
This one's just finished writing the script of the podcast intro. It's going to be a history-related podcast. Very cool. History podcasts are very, very popular as well.
I should look around. My girls keep telling me I haven't found the right podcast, and that's why I'm not like obsessed.
Have you listened to Radiolab? Because I think you'd like it.
No.
You wouldn't like it?
No, I haven't listened to it.
Well, maybe because you're inside the sausage factory for this podcast, you don't want to know how the other sausages sound.
Well, I do listen just for that, just to see how people put their ads in and their sound and things like that. But I guess I just probably put on marketing ones, and I don't know. I can't listen to them when I'm working, because when there's people talking, I can't write something. So I think that's part of it.
I listen to it on my mower too. That's the other place was where I listen to them.
On your what?
I have my tractor and my mower. I have these big ear protecting things, and I got the ones that I can actually, they're Bluetooth, so I can listen to stuff. Yeah.
Is it a Caterpillar or a Deere or one of those?
I have a Kubota, but now I tractor.
You've gone Japanese?
Yeah, so it's
there's Japanese tractors allowed in Texas?
They are. A lot of people like Kubotas. Yeah, they're all over. And I also have a big snapper 0-turn radius for the front yard. So you are our target market. You live in Texas and you have a tractor and a mower. You are the target market. I am the target market because we need remarkable people everywhere. Everybody needs remarkable people. So, by the way, go to remarkablepeople.com and listen to this. Let us know what you think of Adam Curry, because we're not going to spoil it, but he has some really interesting out of the box thinking on podcasts, on how to monetize podcasts, where podcasts are going in the future, and he is kind of an innovator. Now, we'll see. But it's really interesting. So
I thought one interesting thing, without spoiling a whole bunch of his great stories, but one interesting thing that he talked about was how his wife, who worked in the nonprofit world, told him, if you don't ask, for for people to support you, then no one will
Yeah.
support you. So they're big on, on the
Yes.
ask of saying like, hey, if you want to support us,
Mhm.
buy us a coffee, click on this link because otherwise, people, it's not sustainable to just expect that podcasting are free or blogs are free or, we all wanted, we meaning people on the internet expect a lot of stuff to be free, but you do have to support people, whether
Mhm.
they have ads or just like a little donation box or
Yeah.
something, which I think a lot of the social platforms are adding now. Twitter has their little tip jar. I think Instagram has a feature on the lives where you can
Mhm.
make a donation. And YouTube has that too, right, Jeff? Where you can
Yeah. Yeah. You can.
Twitch has something like that. So
The
I think that and TikTok, I think they have
I
that
don't
too.
know. The thing too that's rolled out recently is the subscription-based podcasts. Like Apple's done
Mhm.
it, Spotify's done it. The thing a lot of podcast creators are using is they'll say for a commercial-free or extra episodes, you subscribe to my podcast, and that's a big thing that a lot of people are rolling out right now. Like the Business Wars that I mentioned earlier, this by Wondery, they advertise that if you want to hear it commercial-free and get it a week early, you can subscribe. So
And you think that works? You
I
think
think
people are
so.
willing? Really?
To
How
skip
much
ads.
does it cost?
I don't know what they charge, but so I pay for YouTube Premium to skip the ads because I watch YouTube all the time, and to me it's worth it that I don't have to do it.
Mhm.
And so if I was listening to podcasts all the time and ads bothered me, I might do it for my favorite podcast.
I
But
thought I had ads-free Hulu, and then they stuck the commercials back in, and I was like, "What the heck, Hulu? Why
I
do I have
know.
commercials? I paid for no
But
commercials."
So,
but honest,
Carrie says, "Remarkable people, I'm there on it. Thank you." So thank you, Carrie,
thank
for
you, Karen.
going there. Yeah.
I think that some of my incredibly well integrated Remarkable tablet ads in the Remarkable People podcast is one of the best things about the podcast. Huh?
They have found that studies that when you do organic kind of like it's very organic the way you talk about.
Mine is like organic, non-GMO, you name it.
But those do
Native,
perform better,
native.
and when you can just be very organic about your ad, and if the host does the host reads the ad, it does a lot better for the ad read. Couple things here. Chris Stone, hey Chris, Descript rocks. Agree, it's magical. It really is. Chris has and Jim have a great. I don't listen to their podcast. They have a podcast, but I watch their show, which the podcast is based on, called Dealcasters. It's over on Amazon Live, which is really, really good. So yeah, Descript is amazing. So let's see here. Some more.
Maybe he can get on my bandwagon. So if you're a Descript user, I want you to request one change. So we're going to go deep into a hole right now, the Descript hole.
Uh-oh.
So Descript allows you to edit text in order to edit audio. And there are two views of the text. One is the conversation, which the tracks are together. Another is where they show you separate tracks. And the reason why separate tracks are useful is because if somebody steps over the other person, like laughing on the other person's talk, then you can remove the laughter so that nobody's stepping on each other. But that's a completely different view. But the problem is that the combined view, where you can remove and ignore audio, isn't reflected in the separate view. So sometimes you think, oh, did I ignore or did I remove that time when the guy said and you can't remember because you removed it in one view, but you still hear it in the other view. And I have had major requests that there should be only one view, and or at least the two views should be the same. I mean, imagine if you were using Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word has multiple views, right? The HTML view, the draft view, the document view, and stuff. So imagine if you make an editing change in one Microsoft Word view and it's not reflected in the other Microsoft Word views, and you're wondering, did I remove that word or not? I mean, it's like, I don't understand that. So I want all you Descript users to say everything has to be what you see is what you get. There you go.
So I requested that they would lock Guy out of the multi-track view so he would not go in there and mess with it anymore because it's hard for me. So ignore all that and just, especially if it's Guy Kawasaki, just lock him out. Just lock him out.
I bet Terry Gross and Malcolm Gladwell aren't in the script removing uhs and ums.
They probably are not. They probably
are not.
That's right.
That's why I'm different from them.
That's right. So
but
Jonathan,
maybe you don't need to. Maybe you want to be like Terry Gross.
Oh, this is behind the scenes really bad right now. We're getting into it. So Jonathan says he'd like to start a podcast on the topic of retail excellence. That's interesting. Yeah.
Very cool. That's a changing world too. So I think that would be very interesting because retail has changed so much.
Warby Parker.
Yeah. So I think we get all the questions, Peg? Let me see. What would your podcast be about? We've talked about that. Ian has given us a breakdown of his. Let's see. Where was it? So the plan is to be part of 3 local school districts. Whoa, look at this. In Southern California, apply our training to hundreds of teachers and thousands of children at once. We teach all Renaissance training and using technology to show the data. Old ways we grow, work through our hands. There are quite a few of educational teacher kind of based podcasts that I've seen out there. Awesome. So very, very cool.
That's cool. Teachers are great at sharing knowledge. There's a lot of great teachers on TikTok that share things like just jokes, but also classroom management, classroom decoration, like how they handle things. So that's cool. And there's a lot of teachers obviously on Pinterest, but that's cool that there's a podcast for teachers.
What I would love to know too is how many, because it's really interesting. One of my favorite researchers, Edison Research, has a thing called Share of Ear, where they talk about where people are listening and consuming podcasts and where they're getting information. And according to them, Spotify is becoming neck and neck with Apple. Also, that YouTube is a place where people are consuming podcasts, but there's no way to track it. You can't. Doesn't show up on downloads because people are going there and watching those videos. So how many of you actually consume long form content like a podcast on YouTube? Because I think that would be really interesting to find out too, because right now we are not putting our podcasts there, which I think we might want to start doing because so many people
tried that.
We did.
Didn't we try it, Peg? And nobody listened.
Jeff found some new research though. He's thinking maybe there's a resurge in it. Okay. Because I don't know. I didn't think so either, but I mean, there weren't. And then also, like Jeff just said, it's like if if it doesn't count towards downloads, does it count? Like if a person listens to a podcast in the woods with YouTube, does it count?
Right.
Does it just matter that people listen to it, or does it matter if we show the downloads? The whole process of reporting and being able to see where people are listening and not knowing how many people are actually subscribed. I find a lot of the analytics pieces of podcasting frustrating, personally.
Yeah.
So we've already got people saying that they listen and consume stuff. He's over at YouTube. So so watching there.
Cool.
And Chris says he uses filler word remover for ums into script. He doesn't use it in his audio editor. I was unaware for the separate views. I'll request it though. Don't, Chris. Come on. I thought you were my friend. Don't do what I asked. Come on. Make my life harder. So, Chris says audio podcast reporting is hot garbage. Yes, it's very, very. Yeah. It is hard to get.
What the Apple heck? Is it just because it's Apple or what?
Well, it's just there's no real good standard, and they're trying to standardize it because of ads. That's probably going to happen, but it's still all over. And there was a big hiccup in Apple not very long ago, and that threw everything off. And so it's really hard when you're trying to monetize your podcast, giving those people accurate views. I mean, accurate for the ad spend. Yeah. So it's tough. So, all right. Anything else that we didn't? So Adam Curry, go to remarkablepeople.com. If you're interested in
put
podcasting.
The QR code up.
Okay. I'll do that. There we go.
I don't know how much easier we can make it than that.
Well, no, but we'd love for you guys. Did we have any reviews we needed to read? We didn't ever finish that.
No.
Okay.
We read the last one.
I'm telling you, reviews are broken. It cannot be that no one is reviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one was 2 weeks ago.
So I noticed on my podcast that a lot of people are listening through different apps like Overcast. And so Apple was the big player when they first came out, so it was easier to leave a rating and review there. But, some of these other ones, it may, where are you consuming your podcasts at? What, do you have a favorite app? Are you doing it all in Apple? We've had some people say it was YouTube. So like Jonathan says, 15 to 20 minutes is my YouTube limit. So, a lot of people have.
I actually I share the Simplecast link a lot because it's a great page, a landing page for the podcast. You can see the transcripts there. You can subscribe very easily there. I don't think you can leave a review though. But
Right.
for a mobile click, it's a great place to go.
Yeah.
But here you can leave a review, so make sure you guys go do that.
Until reviews and all that gets cleaned up, we'll just assume we're doing a great job.
We've declared victory. Podcasting is ours.
So we declared it. So who do we have coming up? So this week, Adam Curry. Make sure you go to remarkablepeople.com.
Yes.
Check that out. Next week, we've already asked. You wanted questions
for Dr. Lena Wen, who has a very interesting backstory. I'm going to go look at Guy's questions, but I had some that I would ask her. So she has a very interesting background as a first generation immigrant to the country. So and she's so
From
successful.
China.
So it's a great story. I think her story is going to be a great story.
I have to say that it is a great story, not unlike some other guests we've had, but right now my questions focus on COVID because there's so many questions about COVID that.
But if you look at it from the perspective of like who she is, and then I think it's even more bold and brave of her to take all these public health challenges head on, where maybe because from her background, I just feel like that's it's a great move.
So Andrew S. says, ask about I think he's pandemic over the next 9 years. So that'll be interesting. 9 years is a long time.
Public health is a very serious issue that we haven't had to think that much about.
Yeah. Well, now we do.
Now it's all we think about.
Yeah.
So who's after her? Do we have,
Yes, we have Juliet Funt.
Oh yeah, she's good. Yeah, I just finished her.
Yeah. Who her dad, not to spoil it, but her dad was on Candid Camera. If you're of Guy's generation, you would remember Candid Camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a slow burn right there.
Did you see my suggestion in the Descript file to put in a little? Yeah. And you put it in?
We're working on it. I got to see if it's totally legal, but we're working on it. Right?
It is legal. First of all, his daughter's not going to sue us.
Yeah, but whoever owned that company might. I'm just doing due diligence. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have, without even spoiling alert or anything, we have a paleontologist coming up. We have one of the world's leading experts in public health in America. We have other interesting authors, which I find always interesting. We have a lot of people. Our list of upcoming guests is outstanding.
Just think of it. NPR without the pledge drive.
Yeah. Here's another. So,
Peg's favorite tagline.
It's not my favorite tagline. It's
Armando says Tim Ferriss is great, but 2 hours is complicated. So, what's the limit of a podcast that you listen to?
Our Tim Ferriss episode is 2 hours?
No.
His is 2 hours.
Tim goes for a long time sometimes. So
I see. Because we've had him too.
Seth Rogen goes like 3 hours. I think who's got 3 hours to commit to listening? What else? I mean, you would have to be not working at all and just sitting around.
That's a long drive.
Go listen to a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would what's the limit? So I listen to some of them are long, and I'll listen to them multiple times. During
Really?
I mean,
I would say I would be a shorter podcast person myself.
Well, you just got to get a mower with wider blades so you don't have to be out there so long.
You're mocking me now, but I know you're going to have to start doing the same thing pretty soon.
I got a guy that does mine.
Yeah, your husband. That's your guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he got the kind that has like the dual drive.
That's what mine is. That's what mine is. Yeah.
And there's I definitely would flip it because we have hill. I would be like, for sure would flip it. If you got the kind where you could just like steer it, I maybe would have been able to figure
But
that out.
now,
75 to 90 minutes. There we go.
We're going to be on the hit list for the Protect the Grass Society, where they're against cutting grass.
I did an hour and a half. I think the thing is, if it's interesting, people will listen. I think that's what we see here is people do like an hour and over. So if it's a great topic and you have a great host, like we do, by the way, it's interesting.
Not to mention that it's really well edited.
That's right. Multiple times.
I'm just saying, like, you know what the thing about you guys is if a conversation is going great, you continue it. If you were done, then you would be done. Like some people maybe they do the same thing with a blog post or a book. They just keep writing and putting in stuff that's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And I think our podcast is like
they're good questions.
It's all like, solid.
I was born to podcast.
Even before there was podcasts.
He was ready. Yeah.
So we've got some great people. Guy will appear.
So we have got some great podcasts coming up at remarkablepeople.com. So you want to make sure that you go here, and right now just lift up your phone, get it and click over to it, subscribe to it right now so you don't miss any of these great episodes that we have coming up.
Or
and we have
follow it.
Right, and we have a ton of, follow it. There's tons of stuff in the back catalog that are amazing. One of my favorites is still the one with the Humor Seriously, the Bagladonis and Jennifer Aker.
Aker.
Those are some of my favorite ones. Andrew Zimmern was there's a lot of good ones back there, so you can need to go back.
My legacy. It's my legacy.
Yeah, it's Guy's legacy. So don't let him down. Go check it out at remarkablepeople.com.
At this point, we have like groups together. There's like the writers, there's the entrepreneurs,
So we've done that. I mean, where do people? Is it on a website where it's organized like that, or how do we do that?
I mean, you could if you search by keyword, they would come up that way because I put them in as keywords. But
should we organize them?
We have.
No? We want to keep them in the order so we
could package them in some way like that, maybe for sharing or something, maybe. But
there are many times. Seriously, there are many times that I want to send an entrepreneur to Woz and Kara Golden and Susie Batiz and Bob Cialdini. There's like 10 podcasts, 10 episodes that any entrepreneur Stephen Blank should listen to, right? So wouldn't it be nice if we could just say, all right, so, go to this, we'll group them. Like if you are a parent, listen to these. If you're an entrepreneur, listen to these. If you're a cook, listen to these. Couldn't we do that?
You can put them all on a page and do it.
They have keywords. So if you search,
but that makes people search.
Yeah, but if it's at the bottom. So if you clicked on entrepreneurship, all the other entrepreneurships would come up.
Oh, okay.
All the other like writers.
That's not a link that I can send people to, right? I want to send people to all the entrepreneurs.
It is. It's a link. If you search, then it's the link at the top.
Yeah, and then when you have that link, you could make a Bitly link out of that, and you could just send that to them, right there.
Because that's the.
So we're sure that we're just like. Now the sausage makers are discussing how to make sausage in front of the sausage eaters, but
Chris has a great point. Podcast creation, you can go to Podchaser and do a lot of this stuff as well. And so I do the same thing I share a lot with Overcast because they have the same kind of thing. But thanks, Chris, for that. That's a great. I forgot all about that. Yeah. So
what is Podchaser?
It's a directory, I believe.
Is that what you drink after you listen to a podcast?
I need to drink after this episode right now, or maybe I started.
Maybe we should end
it
before. So you don't get a hangover.
Yeah.
Well, another educational session of our live weekly podcast show. Yeah. Click, clack, Jeff, Peg, and Guy.
It's going roo, roo, roo for people who don't know. Do you guys remember that NPR show? That was a really long term. We listened to that on so many car rides. Yes, so many cars. Those guys were quintessential Boston.
What about a series of podcasts on entrepreneurship? That was.
You mean of me? I mean me.
Well,
talking
some
about?
of the most popular ones we have on there are your art of speaking.
I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't have to edit much because I always get it right. I could do that, but
we had a couple on there.
you know what?
Mhm.
What makes me hesitant to do that is it's so arrogant. It's like, the name of your podcast is Remarkable People, and I put myself up there. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can wrap my head around.
You can just say that it's a special episode that,
because I'm so remarkable.
People really, well, not, you don't say it that, but I mean, I think that people those are really popular episodes. I mean, we have this data to back it up.
I can spit those out.
So
I'm gonna check out Podchaser.
Thanks for that, Chris.
People do like the host. I mean, people do like your speeches.
Yeah, that's why
I'll do one, the art of podcast editing.
There you go. There you go.
It'd be a short episode.
Okay,
bye.
Art of surfing. So yeah, it would be it would be great for young entrepreneurs. I think that there would be so go check, if you haven't looked, go back and do that search feature that Peg was talking about, the art of, and then all of Guy's episodes should come up. I think there's three.
Wait, but what site do they search at?
Remarkable People.
Simplecast has the same. Simplecast, we do keywords on there too.
See,
so I'll have to check. But I'm going to check Podchaser. I'm going to check Podchaser to see if I can create some playlists. If I can create playlists of certain from the episodes, that will be cool, and then that will create those lists.
Okay.
Yeah. So
here we come.
Any other final words of wisdom, Guy?
Nope. I got to get ready for Lena Wen.
All right. So,
okay, bye.
remarkablepeople.com. Go here, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.